You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, featuring all your latest iRacing news, driver interviews, race reviews, opinions, discussions, rumors, and much more. Now here's your host, Mike Ellis, and Sim Racing Chewy Side.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is the podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Chewy Side 55, Carlos, Brad Wren, and Brad Miller. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
In stereo there. So I'll start off tonight with the Peak race, the Peak Antifreeze series. Actually, they didn't race, and they're not going to until June 29th, and that'll be at Chicagoland. So we'll talk about that when that comes up and goes on by.
Did have the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix this past weekend. It was at Imola. Looked like Martin Kroenke won. What didn't seem to be much information available. I couldn't find the normal the recap video that's normally posted. So, but just like with the Peak Antifreeze, after this race, they're gonna go into their summer break for a couple weeks. So we'll have a couple weeks before we have any more of the Grand Prix races.
Yeah, the checkered flag flew and the laptop fell to the ground and they were done, right? Vacation.
Yeah, like I said, couldn't find much. Kind of looked at the forums and a little bit of discussion about the race, but not much more other than a few people, giving some accounts about good race, bad race. But looks like it was probably just a typical Grand Prix race.
Yep. Yeah, I looked around a little bit too and didn't see much. I was kind of surprised by that. I did see a Twitter from the team that won mentioning, the winner, of course. So, cool.
This week in NIS, we were off getting ready for Sonoma. And what did you guys do on your week off? I ended up running some truck races, some A-Fix, some A-Open, and lost a lot of I-rating, but had fun.
Took it as a week just to kind of relax a little bit. Didn't do much. Just kind of goofed around. I decided to get on the rig and actually ran a GT3 race last night. So that's the first one of those I've ran probably close to, 7 or 8 months. So enjoyed the off week and don't get another one till August, and that'll be the last one till we shut it down in November.
Yeah, I also took advantage of the off week and didn't actually do any iRacing that I could recall. So it's been really hot here. It's like 120 yesterday here in Phoenix. So just trying to survive the heat and getting in the hot rig in front of the 27-inch monitors. It gets pretty warm even with the AC on. So.
Yeah, no, it was nice that it coincided with Father's Day and stuff. So it was made for a nice weekend. Didn't have to worry about trying to work on setups or any of that stuff or try to squeeze the last race in.
Well, like you said, it's the calm before the storm here as we head towards, the chase in Richmond and so forth. No breaks until August.
Yep, start the summer swing.
Yeah, and with Sonoma coming up, just on our small team, there are people that are licking their chops waiting for Sonoma, going, oh boy, and then there's people on our team going, oh no.
Yeah, I'm oh no.
Brad's one of those.
Yeah, me too. Keep it on the pavement.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit Sonoma, looking forward. You guys had told everyone on the team, get some laps there in this car because it's quite different with the downforce package we're running and so forth. And can you guys talk about that? I mean, I didn't get any laps. I know some of you did.
Like Carlos probably share, but it's just hard to find grip. I mean, you really have to be patient on the throttle. There's no grip. There's none at all.
It's like it was last year in a way, but worse.
Yeah, I think my key is keep it on the pavement,
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Sonoma versus Watkins Glen, I mean, historically Sonoma is a less grippy track to begin with, so now you go ahead and add in the lower downforce. Yeah, I think it's made it very difficult. So, got to keep it on the pavement and hopefully, get a good finish.
Well, there's like maybe 3 places on the track where the downforce comes into play, but other than that, you're still having to manage your rear wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't even want to try to think about if we weren't, if we had the full horsepower, if they weren't running the, with the engine package where it's basically detuned a little bit, it would be even more frustrating.
Right.
Yeah, and even trying to go into the turns when you think, okay, I need to hit my brakes about here. Yeah, you better back that up about 30 yards or something, because it's a lot more challenging.
Well, you got to find the limit of brakes and stay on it and keep it there. Try not to go over that because you'll lock them up right away, especially in the stupid fixed brake bias.
69%.
It's way too much. Like, seriously, you can feel like, especially going into 1, you get on the brakes and the thing straightens out because it won't turn.
Okay, so question here. I mean, whoever's making the set, Ray Alfala, David Cater, I don't even know who does them. I mean, don't they think that the brake bias is too much too? I mean, we're all screaming about it. I mean, how come they have it so high?
Well, I think it's part of the nature of trying to make a setup that I don't want to say is difficult to drive, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand the theory behind the fixed setups.
Yeah, easy to drive, but not, you don't want to lock the back tires every time you get into the
front.
braking. With
Yeah,
the
it's the
front,
front.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you come into the hairpin and it just chatters. I mean, it's just the whole way.
So let's talk brakes real quick. The way that Carlos brakes for a corner is quite different from the way that Brad Rinn brakes for a corner. I mean, do you think you have an advantage, Brad, because you have a hydraulic?
To a degree, not with this setup. But yeah, I mean, if I can tune the car to my liking, yes, I believe with with high end pedals and with hydraulics, it's much easier, to find the threshold breaking point, because it's like any real car. Once you get into hydraulics, it becomes muscle memory versus positional memory, that you get, say, with a G27 or something like that.
Right. Carlos, what do you think? Are you a disadvantage or?
Oh, hell, I don't know.
You're pretty quick around there, so.
I think for me, no matter what, I'd probably be running the same way. Or, just get used to the track in a certain way.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just quick.
Yeah, I think familiarity has a lot to do with it, because I got these new pedals, these V3s, right before Bristol, and I put my G27 pedals back on because I did not want to try to learn something new at Bristol.
Right.
Where braking is a lot. So it's just personal preference, I think. But I think once you get used to something and you're more familiar with it, the better you get with it.
Well, let's see, Mike. Mike is one of those ones that has hydraulics, and it shows at a lot of braking tracks like Phoenix, Martinsville. He's able to just throw it in there much further, let's say, than I can.
Yeah. I find a little advantage in it. But
Yeah.
that advantage sometimes turns into you're overdriving the car because of that. You think you're doing something good, but you're actually overdriving, which is actually bad. And
I would agree with that.
all right, well, let's move on. The next topic was the Rubens Barrichello Challenge. We talked about that in the last podcast, but it happened. And RaceSpot put up on their Facebook the last lap, which is amazing. So go check that out. And it's like a 3-way battle between Rubens himself, Vitor Gens, and Bruno Do Carmo, and it's quite a finish there. As these three battle it out for the win. This is what we want real Formula One to look like. Is what these guys are doing.
Yeah, I think what were they using, the Formula Renault cars?
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, I just think it's neat that you get the real guys that will, he chose to use iRacing as a platform to raise awareness, and then I guess raise some money for his foundation or charity or whatever it is. I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 4,400 views so far on that video, so a lot of people see that.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned, in the last podcast, Rubens has been a sim racer for many years, so this is nothing new for him. He's been doing it for quite a while.
Yep. What other sports star are we going to talk about here?
Actually, a pretty neat article popped up this week about NFL lineman Ricky Lumpkin. I believe is vying for a spot with the Colts. But apparently is a diehard sim racer by night. So I'm trying to picture this really, really big guy in a Oboto cockpit like I've got. But Ricky's big dude, and but really enjoys esports. And one of the quotes out of the article says, "If you're not competitive, it's not for you," Lumpkin said. "There's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everybody. But if you're a true competitive person, if you like to compete, esports is where it's at. You'll get some of the best competition out there, young and old." So, I think any professional athlete, first of all, is going to be very competitive. I think it's pretty neat to see, him carry that competitiveness on into the, into the sim world like the rest of us.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's a big endorsement because a guy that's so competitive in NFL, and he's sitting down and racing us, and he's getting that same competitive feel that he gets on the field. That says a lot about what's going on with esports and sim in general.
Yeah, people have asked me, why do I do this? As being someone who used to race, there's nothing like the thrill of racing, and this is as close as I can get to to that same adrenaline rush that I got when I did it for real. So it's if you're a competitive person, everything becomes a competition. My wife jokes with me all the time that, I can turn anything into a competition. So if you're a competitive person and you want to win, any sort of esports, but especially if you're into racing, I think iRacing is where it's at.
Yeah, pretty cool. And we got another real athlete who had an interview about sim racing this week.
Oh, that would be Lewis Hamilton talking about simulators and stuff. I was reading up on some of the stuff he says, and some of the things that he says, I don't know that I totally 100% agree with. He says I don't drive simulators a lot because it's not part of the best movement. Working on trying to make it better.
These quotes are hard to read because when he says simulator, he's talking about Mercedes' official team training simulator that costs multi-millions.
Yeah, but if you look at the video, to me it looks just like R-Factor Pro, and I don't see much difference between that and what I think the video they showed was Sepang, maybe. Whatever the track it was, it looks just like the regular version that came with R-Factor.
You can kind of see the, heads-up display there. It looks just like, as you said, something that come out of ISI.
But at the same time, too, I mean, in his defense, if you've been doing it long enough, it becomes second nature. I think about iRacing, for the guy that's never gone to a course before, I think it's ideal. To someone who's been there, racing the same courses for multiple years, the track. It's probably not as helpful, to someone who's been doing it long enough.
Yeah, I think I actually read the wrong quote that I really didn't agree with. And he says there's a difference between driving a simulator and driving the real thing. You have no emotion. I can tell him he's nuts. I mean, yeah, driving a real car is probably a whole lot more emotion, but hey, we've finished a lot of races, and a lot of us on our team alone are just like, man, I'm sweating my guts out. My hands hurt because I was gripping the steering wheel so hard. I'm shaking.
Yeah, I've had wins where I walk away, I'm literally shaking.
Yeah. I mean, I won that Daytona 500, and I know I woke my wife up screaming, you know. So, I mean, no, I didn't win the Spanish Grand Prix or anything, but to me, it was a big deal.
Yeah, and I think you see the difference, you know, in the way people approach, you know, especially sim racing, you know, whether you're approaching it from the gamer side to where I just hit the reset button and I can go again, you know, or you approach it from the simulation side, you know, like I do. I take it very serious. You know, when I'm competing, I want to drive my best, but I'm not going to get into somebody. I'm not out there to, you know, I will wreck myself before I end up trying to, you know, before I wreck somebody else. And, you know, I mean, I understand what he's saying about the emotion side, but, you know, to some of us that'll never had the opportunity to strap into a Formula One car, or for those that have never had the opportunity to get into a race car, you know, I've been blessed and was able to do it. You know, this is all that some people will ever have. So I think there's definitely emotion in there. To the professional guy, I can almost see it to where it's just, okay, I got to go through the routine. And you know, one thing he got talked about is more on the engineering side, and that's true. I mean, the engineers do get a lot out of this stuff, but you know. Again, it's Lewis Hamilton, so it's kind of weird. He's kind of weird anyway.
Yeah, and I'll paraphrase something I read about in an article was, you know, I can go to play the PlayStation and get, you know, learn the same amount. You know, and comparing it, he was comparing the PlayStation, that, you know, version of some racing game to, you know, the Mercedes multi-million-dollar, you know, simulator.
That's kind of scary, though. I mean, that's you know, I've tried to find out, you know, more information as far as, because simulations become very big in the NASCAR side, and trying to really get an idea of what these guys are using, because, you know, each manufacturer has their own simulation software and hardware and all that stuff. So I'd like to try to find out some more information as far as the NASCAR side to see what the difference is between, you know, different not genres, but different disciplines of racing as far as the simulation side.
Yep. It's interesting stuff for sure.
There's lots of money being spent. I mean, especially like you said, you just take the NASCAR side, there's no testing anymore. So, you know, every team is running their car through the simulation before they go to the track. That's how they're getting their base set up in there, is what the simulation is telling the engineers. So, you know, it's what's being used on a weekly basis.
Right, they're bolting shocks and springs onto it before they load it onto the truck.
Yeah, going on a 7-post shaker rig, they run it through a simulation, and you know, it's supposedly every bump, it's pitching the car to the angles or whatever. So that's how they're setting these cars up now, and that's why you see when teams come off a truck quick versus the teams that don't have all this engineering resource, they're scrambling trying to find speed, as opposed to Jimmy Johnson or somebody else who's coming off, you know, and is immediately fast.
Well, let me ask you this: how do they find are they doing ride heights? You know, because the downforce of the air pushing the car down, you know, compresses the shocks. How do you do ride heights?
It's similar. The pull down rigs simulate all that, you know. But the first runs they go out and do, you know, the first few laps they go out to check heights, make sure they're not hitting splitter and stuff like that. Of course, it's going to change a little bit. You know, that's typically the first 2 or 3 lap run. Let's make sure we're not dragging and blah blah blah.
So you're saying the rig pulls it down too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's simulating that downforce and compression.
Yeah, it's big money, but I mean, that it's not Bubba and Joe building a car in the garage anymore. It'll never be like that again.
Right. Interesting stuff. Well, Lewis Hamilton. I don't know if I'm particularly a fan, but moving on. I decided to renew my membership with iRacing for 2 years. I spent $134. I used the promo code listed on the website. and it's right on the front page of the members website when you log in, so you can't miss it. But you got to put in that code and hit apply to get the reduced amount. And I did ask, if you recall last week, I was asking about the 50% discount that they usually offer around 4th of July and also Black Friday at Thanksgiving. And there's been no answer from iRacing that I've seen at all about that. So this particular sale ends June 30th. And so I just pulled the trigger and decided to do it, you know. So I did my renewal for 2 years, and I think I was good through December anyway. So I got 2.5 years.
Yeah, I'll do mine before the end of the month, so I've already planned to do it.
I'm rolling the dice.
Yeah,
Well,
Looking for the 50.
I'm going to do it.
you know, my guess is, and Mike, you know, you touched on it last time too. My guess is they'll probably do this again. This will be the new 50% off. You know, it's not 25% off, but this will end up being the new deal that they'll probably do around, you know, Black Friday or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger and do it, get it done.
Yeah, I mean, this is very close to the July 4th date that they traditionally have done it before. June 30th, July 4th, real close. And you're right. Maybe this will be, they'll just do a 25% on Black Friday and call it done.
Again, it's cheap. For a hobby, it's cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing it.
Okay. What about the rest of you? Carlos?
What?
Are you good on your renewals and stuff? Or?
No, it's I'm rolling the dice and hoping this comes around later in the year.
Yeah, Black Friday is traditionally when they do it, so.
At least when I have
Yeah.
more money, then I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So, well, they should have some more money because they announced that Le Mans is coming to iRacing later in the year. They released a really cool video last week with a nice sit-down talk with 5-time 24 Hours of Le Mans champion Frank Baila. I think I said that right, Baila, about the highly anticipated track and about his experiences with iRacing. And if you had a chance to watch the video, one, it's just great to watch. You know, any video footage of Le Mans, but you know, he spends a lot of time talking about the speeds and stuff like that, and then gets into talking a lot about iRacing and as an iRacer himself, to the team aspect, to working with guys for endurance races, and really, really cool video that I'm glad that they put together. Not to mention we got to see some great footage of Le Mans also.
I did watch this as well, and I was surprised that Frank Biella is an iRacer. I had no idea, but he's very involved in iRacing, and he's in a team, like you said, and he was talking about the new team racing aspect in iRacing, where, you know, if you're the guy who goes out and crashes the car, you feel bad for the other, you know, team members, you know, that they're going to have to drive a broken car, you know, kind of thing, and he talks about the emotion behind that, and it's very similar to what he feels in the real race car when he's racing at Le Mans.
Yeah, Carlos could tell us about what it feels like to wreck it, and I could tell you what it feels like to where you can't get back in it.
Hell, I did both the last big endurance races. I wrecked the car in both races, except I killed it in Sebring. Everyone knows that. Hour and 7 minute repair. Pretty sure they had to cut me out of the car.
Yeah, but it was really cool though to, you know, to hear him talk about it as someone who's, you know, again, a real racer, as, you know, on race teams, handing cars off and stuff like that, and that he gets the same emotion out of it. And, you know, to be able to do an endurance race, whether you're a big road racer or not, whatever, it's really cool though to know that you've got to protect that car because you're going to give it to the guy behind you, you know, and you know you got to get back in that car, so you're hoping that those guys behind you are going to do the same thing that you did.
Yeah, it was very interesting. If you're into endurance racing at all, you should definitely check this video out.
Well, and even aside from that, just the team aspect, you know, I thought a lot about us, you know, Tifosi Racing, about, you know, the amount of time that we spend working on setups and doing stuff like this to get prepared for a week. And it's a team, you know, it's a whole group of us that work together in order to make this happen. And we see the results and we all can benefit from it. But, you know, it's no different than what the real guys do. You know, I think when we had the guys, I think, from One Up, I mean, you heard a lot about all the work that they put into it. You know, is it a game? Yes, but This is, it's a simulation. It's the same things apply in the real world that do in the virtual world as far as team aspects and all that stuff. We just have to be sitting in our living room.
Serious simulate.
Yeah, I mean, we had to be sitting in our living room as opposed to sitting in a race car. That's really the only difference.
Right.
Yeah, this is the coming up on the 6 hours of the Glen coming up this weekend. Practice and qualifying. It'll start tonight. I just checked the iRacing page. Those rooms are not up yet, but I'd say it will be in the next 30 minutes. But this will be my first race where people are going to be getting in a car behind me, and I do find that it's putting a little bit of pressure on me. I've actually thought about it quite a bit. When we race, if I wreck, then I just screwed myself. And now if I wreck, I can be affecting a whole lot of other people's afternoon.
Yep. And you just got to keep it on the pavement, man. Don't worry about being fast.
Some of us have already been practicing earlier this week and running some pretty close times, I think. Yep. Having fun, working some setups out.
Now, what configuration of the Glen are you running?
It's the boot.
Boot.
Yep, you have the bus stop, but you have the back end too.
Das Boot? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the full course, so you'll have the bus stop, along with the boot and everything. So.
Well, the other one's called what? The classic boot.
Yeah, the classic boot just takes the bus stop out.
Yep.
Yeah, anything that says classic, no bus stop. So I'd rather have it, with the bus stop.
Cool. So that's coming up Saturday, right? Is when you guys are going to run that event? But there's more than one running of the 6 hour.
I think there's four time slots now for a lot of the races.
Yeah, I think there's basically, if you look at East Coast times, there's I guess a Friday night, 2 on Saturday, and then another one on Sunday, maybe even 2 on Sunday, one late Sunday night. So there's quite a few.
I don't know. I still say, if anything, give us 2 time slots, not 4.
That seems like it's too many to me. I mean, with an endurance race, it's this long.
It kind of just takes away some of the mentality of make sure the car survives instead of, if we wreck, we might as well just jump into another race.
Yeah, we'll just toss it and go to the next split or the next running. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. The first few that they did, there was either 1 or 2 and you were done. So to me, that was definitely, made it a lot more enjoyable. But if you guys remember, they had a lot of site issues, stability issues, and I think that's probably why they're doing that now.
That's true.
And even then, it really kind of, the other time slots don't have as many people or teams competing, so it still comes down to, the usual 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. deals are the most busy, time slots.
Yeah, and I think, especially with the 24-hour races, to me, they ought to be even more limited because it's easy to, you can work out a team better even if you've got to work with people across the pond or whatever. It's going to be daylight or nighttime somewhere in that clock, around the world. Doesn't matter, who's doing it.
Yep. All right, moving on. Let's talk reported issues. I found a forum post where somebody reported the IndyCar DW12. It does not have a fuel tank of any kind. And they posted pictures of the car and stuff. And sure enough, you can see the hole where the filler goes in, but there's nothing inside there. It's hollowed out. So it kind of looks strange, and iRacing acknowledged it, and they're going to fix it.
Was this their attempt to recreate Formula E or anything?
Trying to get rid of fuel mileage races?
Apparently, we're back to dealing with the DDoS attacks. So there was a Twitter post back on the 13th of June with that from iRacing talking about that they were dealing with a number of attacks again. So there was multiple posts about it, and one of the posts says, I'll remind everyone here that there is a reward, again, for any information that leads to finding out who's doing these. And they went on to talk, as far as about what's the purpose of a DDoS. It says the D stands for distributed, and that means it's coming from hundreds or thousands or more computers, means it's pretty hard to trace. But because the computers are doing the attack, might not be from the same continent and so forth.
Right. So this was interesting to me because an iRacing staff member basically said there is a reward for information leading to, who's doing this. And also, Steve Myers on Twitter alluded to the same thing, that he was looking for the community to cough this guy up, so to speak.
Yeah. And one of the members, posted on there, and I think one of the staff members said they were going to steal it. But they said, think of it like this: that guy wants to stop you from being able to use your cell phone, so he pays 1,000 people 1 cent each to call your phone at a certain time. You might know every phone number that called you, but not the person who paid those people to make the call in the first place. So that's how hard it is to track this down. And apparently, Brad, iRacing even thinks that this may be pretty specific.
Yeah, they interviewed him, and a few answers were yes, iRacing is the target. Yes, we know that countries the attack originated and changes utilize blocking at the country and IP levels. Really, a lot of this is, I don't know how you would catch them unless you are just somebody that really is smart with the IP addresses and stuff like that, which I guess there are people at iRacing and those kind of levels that know, but for the average racer, I wouldn't have any kind of answers for them.
Well, I think what they're looking for, as far as from us, is if anybody knows of anybody doing this. So apparently they obviously believe that this is, that iRacing is the target specific, and that it may even be a member doing it, that's behind the attack. So, we talked in previous podcasts that, they've said they've spent as much as 6 figures, just on infrastructure and security, trying to stop this from happening. And, it seems like almost every week that there's something's going on. So, we talked before that, and I think the general consensus was that people didn't really think this was an actual attack against iRacing, but with them coming out now and saying that they are the target, that completely changes, to me, that changes the entire situation.
Yeah, and some of that information I thought was interesting. They were talking about what are they doing to mitigate here. They said, yes, we know what countries the attacks are coming from, but that changes. And they are blocking at a country level and an IP level. So they can say, okay, we don't have any members in Afghanistan or Pakistan, so we're going to block those 2 countries completely. So they're doing stuff like that. They're mitigating at local and ISP levels as well. We use advanced gear that helps us detect and mitigate these attacks. And we've had discussions with just about all the market leaders in the DDoS mitigation business, which is a big business. There's a lot of players there. And I thought this was the most interesting part. He said, if this issue could be resolved by writing a check for a gear or service solution, I am certain that check would be written.
Yeah,
so it's not about money, guys.
No, it's not, and the members need to understand that they're working on this, and it's like the analogy about having someone pay 1,000 people 1 cent to call your cell phone. You could probably figure out who a lot of those 1,000 people are, but trying to figure out who actually paid them is the problem.
Yep. So, one bad guy, and you know what? This DDoS stuff, I saw reports of it throughout the off week of NIS, and that was kind of one reason I was staying away from iRacing, because I kept seeing oh, the website's not working, or whatever. Okay, so next up is iRacing will be coming down for a maintenance period, they've announced, and that will be the 21st, which is tomorrow. So they got a little post season 3 release that they're going to do. I think this will be the third one, maybe?
Or second. This should be the second hotfix. So
yeah, we don't have release notes yet, but no release notes yet that I've seen.
No, I haven't either, and I was, they were so quick to get the previous build release notes out. I was kind of hoping that we'd have an idea today, if as far as what they're fixing tomorrow.
It'll be a surprise. I don't know. Who knows? It might be something to do with this DDoS. Who knows?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be fixed. If you peruse the forums, you'll see it. So, moving on to hardware, there was a post on the forums called "Water Cooling Goes Horribly Wrong."
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Well, not funny, but there's a picture he posted of his flooded cockpit. I think he's on a rug too.
Yeah, apparently he's I guess he's in a basement and his sub pump failed and started to flood the basement. He's got a nice rig and actually uses a tub from I'm guessing an old cart car, but it's the carpet is completely saturated and you can see just standing water. So looking at the picture, my OCD kicks in because I'm all about cable management, and his rig makes me want to scream.
God, you'd freak out then if you saw my desk.
Oh, I can't deal with it.
It's like spaghetti. Oh man, that is pretty bad actually.
Mine's worse.
I mean, there's a little picture in the forum post, but if you click on the picture, it gets big, and that's when I get the hair stands up on the back of my neck because I can see all the cables in the water too. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, if you look on the right, there's actually a power cable in the water, and yeah,
so people, tighten your stuff up some and make sure that sub pump's working.
Buy a pack of zip ties for 99 cents. Really, it's easy, guys. I can even do cable management. It doesn't look too horrible.
I got like 30 cords right here, just all over the place.
I can't deal with it. Let me come visit you. I'll tighten you up.
Yeah, we'll fix that in like 5 minutes, right, Brad?
I always start out that way, and then I add something, then I add something, and then I got crap all over the place.
Yeah, but when it's done, then you redo it. You kind of, okay, I'm going to unplug everything from the computer and kind of rewire.
Yep. I mean, when I redid mine, back in the spring when I do my normal spring cleaning, and I actually got this plastic tubing that I have everything run through. So
I have some of that
on my Butta. I've got plastic tubing going down one side, going down the other. And all the cables are nice and neat in there. All you see is 2 plastic tubes running down the back. That's it.
Yeah, mine's not quite that tidy, but it's probably halfway there. I mean, a big problem I have with my setup is some of the cables are too short to be able to run them the way I want to run them, kind of thing, because they're 3 foot, 6 foot, whatever, and you're just limited by that. So that was one reason I kind of put my computer on this kind of pedestal up over the pedals to get it closer to the monitor, so that would be less of an issue, but it's still an issue.
You can go to monoprice.com and buy any kind of cable you want, trust me. Get yourself a 6-footer, 10-foot, whatever you need. I mean, like I said, it's my OCD kicks in. I just like it to be nice and neat, and it's what it is.
I should just take a picture of this and send it to you.
Please don't.
Okay, in other hardware news, a UK-based company, ProSim, have more or less completed testing for the latest prototype H-pattern Quiffy sim shifter, produced in conjunction with Quiffy Engineering UK. There are few details available. However, it's clearly mechanical-based design with the aim of accuracy and replacing the feel of what real-life automotive gearbox. They have a short little video of a guy shifting this thing, and other than it not having any covers on it, but I guess that's so you can see how it's working. Where do
awesome.
I send the money?
I know, it's pretty cool. Inside Sim Racing posted this story, and so we'll give them credit for this. But boy, the video is kind of speaks for itself. It's a gear shift that's basically really mechanical, so it's got that feel of a mechanical shifter.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. If anybody remembers from a few years ago, Todd Cannon was working on one before he ran away with everybody's money. But yeah, it's pretty neat. It's going to be expensive, so get your checkbooks out.
1,000 British pounds he's trying to shoot for.
It's loud. It's loud, too. So if you got somebody who's trying to sleep, if you're racing late at night, and you're not going to make your wife happy.
Yeah, she'll hear that transmission. And you can hear it shift as he, changes gears and stuff. It's, it's a mechanical, click from one thing to another, like a transmission would feel.
God, it's like you're slamming it into gear. That's how loud it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, I think I've got the Fanatec US shifter, so it's the sequential and the the 7-speed, and that thing is kind of noisy. And I'm trying to picture myself running Sonoma, with that thing in the video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, my wife would kill me.
So it is like with the same thing with the mechanical keyboard.
Oh yeah, just kunk kunk kunk.
I like this product because there's nothing like it that I've seen. And this is the one thing that we haven't really upgraded as far as the package goes. I mean, we have wheels that have been upgraded. We got pedals that have been upgraded, but nobody thinks about the gear shift, But, this is an interesting product, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, all I can say is that the guys that get into the hardware, it is mind-blowing, how much money, time that gets put into this stuff. I mean, there's stuff, we race with stuff that's nicer than what real race car drivers have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see taking that little white ball off the top and putting the Hurst T-shifter on it. And
there you go.
I'm ready.
All right, the next thing in hardware, I stumbled across this place called 4Play, the number 4, Play, Racing. They have a store on eBay, and they have the 80/20 cockpit rigs, as you call them, or cockpits, available, all pre-made and ready for purchase. $800 for a cockpit with triple monitor stand. And it's built out of 80/20. And this is a little different than the other 80/20 projects we've talked about before, where you can go on eBay and buy the parts you need. You come up with a parts list. I need, 3, 2-footers, and I need 15 1-footers, and I need, 26 inchers, and you build it yourself. But this is all put together already. So you don't have to do the thinking and the planning and the project. You just buy it.
But the one thing that I do like about this, and any 80/20, is how easy it is to expand. So when it comes time, I'm thinking in the next couple of years, maybe looking at replacing the Obuto and really want to get into something that I can get exactly how I want everything. You know what I mean?
And you know what really caught me on this product is the triple monitor setup. I love it. Because the feet they're really long feet, and they only go in one direction, the direction of the monitors, because the stupid Obuto triple monitor thing, and it is stupid. The feet aren't long enough, and the thing always wants to tip over. But this is a much better design, obviously.
Yeah, I've got the Obuto Ozone, so my triple mount is actually mounted to the rig itself. It's not a freestanding one.
Yeah, you could blow on it; it would blow over.
Wow.
The only way mine stays up is it literally has to kind of lean against the actual Obutto cockpit. Even though it's not attached to it, it almost kind of has to lean against it just to stay standing.
It'd almost be, worth it to even just maybe, contemplate just replacing the stand.
The stand itself, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one is very interesting to me, the way it looks. The other thing I read on the forum, some people talking about this company and this guy specifically that runs it. You can call him and contact him from what they're saying, and he will customize and do whatever you need to do. One guy was adding a fourth monitor up above, and another guy needed something else, and it sounded like he was very accommodating. So you could call and he could build you, probably a cockpit to your specs is what it sounds like. But the one he's selling here on eBay that I have a link to is $799 US. Sim rig cockpit with triple monitor stand for play racing.
Yeah, like I said, it's really good looking stuff, and like I said, that's I think that's the road I'm going to go here in a few years.
What do you think you're going to build your own by just buying pieces, or are you going to buy something pre-made like this?
I don't know. I mean, even to do something like this, the nice thing with 80/20 is that it's just so easy to add on to and expand on. You know what I mean? So if you get something that's a good base, then you can do what you want to do.
Here's the thing, and one of the reasons I picked the Obutto Revolution was the keyboard tray, and I work in my Revolution during the day. And that keyboard tray is very important, because the keyboard and mouse need to be right in front of me. And I can do that with this cockpit. I'm not sure I can do that if I went to an 80/20 cockpit. Maybe I could somehow retrofit this particular keyboard tray I have on the Obutto onto an 80/20 or something to that effect.
And see, complete opposite. The only thing I use my rig for is racing. So to me, I would much rather have a keyboard that's mounted up at an angle, where I can just reach over with my left hand and do what I want to do. I don't need it to swing in front of me or do any of that stuff. And that's the one thing I don't like about the Obutto, is the swinging cockpit. The swinging keyboard tray.
Right.
It's just not user friendly, as far as racing goes.
Yeah, different people, different needs, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I said. That's kind of the neat thing with 80/20, and then some of the stuff is you can do it on your own and kind of get what you want to get out of it. So, like I said, not knocking Obutto. I love my cockpit, and for an entry level something, it's and even to the higher end. You got the Revolution, I've got the Ozone. The bang for your buck. That's the one reason I went with Obutto is because you got everything.
Yeah, and you didn't have to build it. Well, you had to build it, but. It came in a box. You had to put it together, but you didn't have to design it.
Right. And it was basically, all in one purchase. I looked at some of the other stuff, like sim seats and different stuff, then you start to add on keyboard tray, you add on this, you add on this, you add on, and before you know it, you doubled the price, and it's like, I can't do that.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this particular rig is my pedals are inverted, and this is set up for, I think, it looks like pedals from the floor.
Again, if he's willing to customize stuff, it's easy to build a box. You basically just need, a box basically.
To hang
two squares on the end to hang them from. So
you could even use the same brackets we have, huh?
From what I'd seen with the people that have mounted, a little bit different. Well, probably could use your brackets. Mine are different because I'm on an ozone, but because yours basically.
Well, it accommodates a round pipe. I don't know if it'd work on that 80/20.
I'm sure you could find something, but yeah, I've seen plenty of them mounted on 80/20 rigs.
Yep. Yeah, I think if I was ever upgrading the rig, 80/20 is probably the way I would want to go. This is the first time I really kind of seen one that's put together by somebody, and they're selling it that way, and it can be customized. So that's very intriguing to me, so.
Well, if you peruse the hardware forum, and you'll see guys that post pictures of their rigs, and any of the ones that are the 80/20 rigs, to me, it's like, oh, that looks so nice.
Yeah, all the good rigs, all the best rigs are 80/20. So you're right. When you look at the pictures and the people that are spending a lot of money, they're all running 80/20.
Yeah, because like I said, it's easy. You want to move something, you can slide it, you can change it. There's a lot of adjustability in that, just in the nature of the material you're using.
Now, in this forum post about four-play racing, one of the discussions was, I want an OSW wheel, but it doesn't fit on the Oboto Revolution unless you buy the small one that's available. I forget the name of it, but there's a smaller motor that's available that can fit on the Oboto mount. But otherwise, you really need to go to a different cockpit if you're going to do any of these other, open source wheels. And that was kind of eye-opening to me too. If you're on an 80/20 platform, and you buy a different wheel, you can adjust for it, like you're saying.
Yep. I mean, there's plenty of. I mean, I've seen guys that have a mounted top side, underside. I mean, it's just there's so much stuff you can do. With the 80/20. Like I said, you've got the flexibility, a lot more than something that's already prefabricated, like an Oboto or some of the other ones. That are an all-in-one.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I bought the main performance PC brakes pedals, because they had a specific solution for the Oboto. They had Oboto brackets.
Yep, same here. That's why I have a pair hanging under mine.
Right, because I didn't want to deal with drilling holes and mounting and trying to fabricate and weld and there's a ton of iRacers out there that do that kind of stuff when they buy new hardware.
Not me.
Nope. Okay, so that's it for hardware. Next up, listener feedback. We ended up with quite a few this week. One of them was Patrick Smith. Just listened to the episode, first-time listener, like what I heard, had some good information about a lot of things. All right, thanks, Patrick. Eric Godrot Drapro, I think that's French. First listener as well, great podcast, well-paced and good content. We'll stick around for future podcasts. There was another thread going on Facebook on one of our posts about the podcast that had an entire discussion about the price increases that we talked about in iRacing last week, with several people weighing in on that. Another guy on SoundCloud, user 570488656, said, "Love the podcast, guys. Keep up the good work. I look forward to it every week." And then finally, we heard from Victor Jennings. "Hey, a quick question. You said in the last podcast you were going to ask Tony if there was going to be 50% discount next month. Did he ever respond? Thanks, Vic. Love the podcast. I listen to every one of them." Vic, we talked about that before. I never heard about the 50%, so I went ahead and made my purchase and took the 25 that they're offering through the end of June. So that's probably my recommendation, unless you're going to roll the dice like Carlos. All right, so let's jump into final thoughts. Brad Miller, what do you got?
Good luck this weekend at Sonoma and this weekend at the Glen. Going to be road racing experts by Sunday.
We'll see. In Sonoma, if in the NIS, it actually counts towards your oval iRating.
Yeah.
I do know that.
Kind of quirky.
Gonna be a fun week for me.
All right, Carlos, final thoughts.
It's gonna be a fun. Oh, I don't know. Just looking forward to Sonoma. Really, that's all there is. And plus, I don't know, fun weekend ahead of us here for those 6 hours.
Yep. Good luck to Team Tifosi on the 6 hours. You're set up for 2 cars, right?
Yeah, we're just running 2 Corvettes.
All right. And good job, Carlos, on the managing the effort. And like Brad Wren was talking about earlier, it is an effort to put together a schedule. It's kind of like herding cats, trying to get drivers to commit to time slots.
I know I had to change the schedule like 4 times this week.
Well, yeah, we had some team members like myself who were initially going to race and then realized, oh, no, I got something else planned and can't do it.
Well, 6 hours is a little bit easier to manage than 24.
Yep.
That's true.
Especially going off estimates on time,
All right, Brad Wren, final thoughts?
Sonoma. Not looking forward to this week. So, just like I said last week, if I could hook a chain on the back of Carlos, that'd be good. But he won't let me do that. So, no, just have a good week, guys, and get through here and head into the summer swing and kind of hoping for some good surprises maybe in this update tomorrow. So there was a problem that I reported that they said it's going to get fixed. So we'll see if it gets fixed, and if it did, I'll talk about it on the next podcast.
Nice. Well, my final thoughts are Sonoma. Boy, I'm wishing for a top 15, and that means 15th or 14th. I don't think I'm going to be better than that when I say top 15, but that's my goal for the week of Sonoma, and we'll see if I make it. I usually run off early or wreck or something, and then I usually am able to finish the race. That's kind of my pattern there. So I'm really going to focus and try to keep it on the pavement at all cost, and we'll just see. And obviously looking forward to the ovals coming up, especially Daytona. So with that, make sure to get a hold of us if you guys have comments. You can hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or the website at iRacers Lounge. So we'll see you later.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge. Follow on Twitter and Facebook at iRacers Lounge and SoundCloud at iRacers Lounge. See you on the track.